the silence calls. Books tell stories of the things unseen, of foxes wild and spirits keen. Whispers in the stacks they creep, ghostly chills that steal your sleep. Paranormal truths no one believes, they linger here like autumn's leaves. Bibles open to verses dark, stories written to leave their mark. The wildlife outside hears the moans, silent foxes, the forest groans. The last of these you cannot tame, a history buff who knows no shame. Paranormal life outside hears the moans, silent foxes, the forest groans. The past of beast you cannot tame, a history buff who knows no shame. Paranormal tales in every spine, haunting truths that cross the line. Whispers in the stacks they creep, ghostly chills that steal your sleep. Paranormal truths no one believes, they linger here like autumn's leaves. Spirits waltz through moonlit air, books fall down as if to dare. Foxes howl in the wooded shade, they guard the truths that time forbade.
All right. Lovely, 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 as they say. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you all this evening. Let me light our candle here. Running low on candles, so I only have one candle per show because I got to get some more. But anyway, the show must go on, and we are taking the ghost tour to Canada. And I think someone specifically requested this, Toronto. So I said, let's go with it. Let's see what we can do. And Lenny was very enthusiastic about it. And I thought, let's do it. So I found some really interesting stories, a lot of them, quite frankly, in Toronto. And I think Toronto's, I would consider one of the more haunted cities from all the stories that I found. So I picked 5 of them that I wanted to talk about this evening. But before I do that, let me say hello to everyone here. Hello, Mustang. Hello, Gina. Hello, Delilah. Crew Mel is in the house. Who else is here? Sweet Tea is here. Tammy Thompson is here. Ryan Breen is here. Welcome, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Stiggs is here. Welcome. Good to see you all on this very cold evening in the Northeast. Hello, Toro. How are you doing, Toro? Good to see you. I hope everyone is keeping warm because it's, like I said, it's pretty darn cold out there. And wanted to make sure that we still got things going here. And I have some paranormal videos at the end, but they're not really that good. So I'm warning you, they're not that good. So don't expect anything great this evening. Like I always say, it gets harder and harder because most of them are nonsense. By far, most of them are nonsense. So you got to just do what you can, right? You got to do what you got. Go with what you got. All right. All right. 15 people in the chat. That's awesome. Thank you. I think that's enough to get started. All right. So, Toronto. Canada, in Ontario, the province of Ontario, is where we land this evening. And I have 5 stories. Now, the first story is called Haunted Old Finch Bridge. Hello, Gerard Succelli. How are you, Succelli? How are you, my friend? All right. Stony Tony in the house. How are you? Good to see you. My man, Stony, is here. Well, let's start off with having you take a good look at Stony. Stony could take a look at it as well, but Old Finch Bridge, not Stony Bridge, Old Finch Bridge in Toronto. It's on the outskirts of Toronto. It's actually Scarborough, I think, is the town, but it's right on the outskirts of Toronto. So that's why I thought it was good to include it. And it's a cool little story. And I hope you think so as well. So let me show you what it looks like first of all. Here is Old Finch Bridge. And now you can see it is a single car lane bridge. It's a mesh bridge. So, and there's no walking track on it, but people do go walking on it, and it's a bit dangerous. And there's a sign there that says cyclists that open. It's an open mesh bridge, so your tires might get caught, etc. So that's a warning there. But there is quite a little tale around this bridge. More so, I guess it's more so of an urban legend. I don't know because I couldn't find any historical documentation of events leading up to this. But the story goes that this bridge is haunted by the spirit of a young woman who was murdered on this particular bridge on her birthday, no less. Can you imagine how horrible that is to be murdered on your birthday, walking home from an event, a party given for you on your birthday? You're walking home after that party and you never get home because you're murdered on this bridge and your body is hurled into the river below. Understandable why there might be a spirit there, right? Not a cool thing to happen. But the story goes that because this happened, this spirit is trapped on this bridge or on the river underneath or what have you in the general area. And Paulie Donuts, how are you, my friend? Great to see you. Because of that, if you walk onto this bridge at midnight, you will hear the screams of this poor woman, her last gasp screams before she was murdered. That's one way you might encounter her. The other way to encounter her is more of the urban legend dare type of thing. And how it goes is that if you go there and you sing happy birthday, and you sing happy birthday to Candy, Candy being the name of the girl that lost her life on this bridge, that will summon her and she will appear in some form and she will scream at the top of her lungs and frighten you away. So it's kind of a creepy little legend that kids try to do. I guess they go out there and they test it and see if it happens. Some people say it happens. Some people say they don't. Some people say they see the spirit at times around the bridge, wandering around the bridge. But like I said, this is purely an urban legend. I couldn't find any documentation as to a murder that was documented being committed there. So could there a murder been committed? It's possible. Before the 1900s, early 1900s, something may have happened. Who knows? But there's nothing that I could find a news article on. So, but anyway, Old Finch Bridge is this haunted bridge, and people go there and play this game where they sing "Happy Birthday" and summon this poor spirit of this girl that was murdered, and she screams at the top of her lungs, her gut-wrenching scream that she gave out before she died. So creepy thing, and I'm sure very popular around Halloween. Hello, Grateful. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Awesome to see you. All right, so that's the first one. It's a short one. Old Finch Bridge in Scarborough, outside the town limits of Toronto. All right. Now, story number 2. Story number 2 is going to take place at a place called the Winter, the Elgin Winter Garden Theater. Now, let me show you what that looks like. Because, and the thing that I'll tell you about these stories, they all, the remaining stories all revolve around very cool architecture, very old and cool looking architecture. And I think you'll agree with me when you see the pictures. Hello, Donna. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in and hanging out on this very cold Friday night. So this takes place at the Elgin and Winter Garden Theater. Now, let me show you what it looks like. Bear with me, bear with me. Okay, here we go. Now, here's the first. This is what it looks like from the outside. If you're on the street and you're looking at it, this is the entrance. Looks like a traditional theater entrance with the box in the front where you buy your tickets, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a nice, cool little architecture. Built in 1913. It originally was called Lowe's Yonge Street Theater because it's on Yonge Street in Toronto. And it later became the Elgin Winter Gardens when it was refurbished and renovated, I should say, in the 80s, in the 1980s. So here we go. That's what it looks like on the outside. Let's take a look at what it looks like on the inside. Because that's where the activity happens. Here we go. And this is pretty cool. The picture's kind of small, but you get the gist of it. This is a pretty cool theater. Look at this. There's all like vegetation hanging from the ceilings here. It's a really unique type of experience. Very, very cool and very turn of the 20th century type of architecture. It's called an Edward style theater. So pretty cool backdrop for ghosts to hang out with, I think. All right. Now let's get back to the stories. Now there's in fact multiple ghosts. There's two main ghosts that I'm going to talk about that haunt this theater. And the first one is called the Lavender Lady. And there are two theories as to where she comes from or her origin, but we know that she is a woman, a beautiful woman. Wears turn of the early 20th century type of dress, like around the time of when this theater was built. And there's two theories about where she comes from. And really, she's called the Lavender Lady because there's a smell of lavender whenever she appears or manifests, and it's this overpowering smell. You'll recognize the lavender without a doubt. But there's two theories as to where she came from. It's not really clear. The first one is that she was a jealous castmate's rival actress who was murdered by her rival actress. So, when this theater was first created, there was vaudeville happening there, and there were actresses, and there was an understudy, and the main actress and the understudy. In theory is that she could have been one of the actress that was murdered by her understudy. I don't know. That's one theory. The other theory is that she is a betrayed wife of her husband, who was an actor during vaudeville, who fell in love with a showgirl and ran off in her performance, and she took her life in the theater because she was so devastated by this. Hi, CG2. Good to see you, my friend. Oh, please hit the like button too while you're here. Please remember to do that. It's helpful. And so she appears mainly on the stairwell of the theater, going up to the theater. So this theater has multiple levels, as you saw in that picture. There's a main stairwell that goes up to the second floor. And that's where she seems to manifest most often. And like I say, she manifests as a beautiful young woman, long hair, and this potent smell of lavender, which probably was her calling card in life. Probably was what she perfume she wore. Who knows? But she's the lavender lady of Winter Garden Theater, and she hangs out quite often there. Many people see her. That's ghost number one in this location. Now, ghost number two is a ghost by the name of Sam. Now, the backdrop to this guy is he first appears in 1989 during the renovation of the theater. So there's no record of him appearing or people encountering him before that. But it is said that he was a trombone player in the theater, in the orchestra of the theater in 1918, the Winter Garden show of 1918. And he tragically lost his life when he fell into the orchestra pit. Nobody knows why. Truly just an accident. But he first appeared to the workers who were renovating this place in 1989. And he started playing the trombone. They heard the trombone playing. And there was nobody in the place because it was just workers renovating. But they could hear this distinct trombone playing that was happening without any source. And at the same time, what would happen, the trombone playing would stop, and then the seats in the front row of the theater would go up and down. They'd go up and down, and no one was anywhere around them. You know how the seats stay up, right? And then they're pressed down when people sit in those old-fashioned seats. And then when they get up, the seats come up. They were going up and down on their own. So you can imagine the fright in these workers when this starts happening out of nowhere, because Sam, the orchestra player, the trombone player, decided to manifest through all the activity. Hello, Don McHugh. Good to see you, my friend. All right. So Sam is in the theater, flipping up and down chairs, flipping up and down chairs. And then there's also, those are the two main ghosts. Now there's a third ghost who some people believe is the lavender lady, but some people believe she's a distinct ghost. Now, this one is a documented murder that took place in the theater where a patron, this was in the early 20th century, either in the 1920s or the 1930s, a female patron was murdered in the ladies' room on the fifth floor. Now, there's multiple floors in here. It was murdered on the fifth floor, stabbed. She is not immediately killed. So what she does is she drags herself out of the ladies' room. There's no one around because the show had started. And everyone had gone back into the theater. So there was no one around. She drags herself to the elevator. And this theater has hand-run elevators. So if you see those old-time elevators where you needed an elevator conductor to use the crank to get them to move. Well, she drags her dying body to the elevator, and the elevator operator is not there. He wasn't at his post. So she ends up dying in the elevator right then and there, stabbed, bled out. And people say that she manifests because at times the elevators of this place will go up to the fifth floor for no reason and stay there, or they'll be moving on their own. Now, these are still manual elevators. They were not updated. These elevators need a conductor. They need someone to run them. But and many people have said that they've gotten into the elevators, even with the conductor, and have wanted to go to the third floor, and the thing will go to the fifth floor and stay there for a while. So a very powerful spirit in this patron who lost her life because she's able to control this elevator and make it go to the fifth floor where she died. So some people say that's the Lavender Lady as well. Some people think it's someone different. So I'll leave it up to you. But many people have encountered the elevator activity, which there's no explanation for. So I'm going to say it's a distinct person. I'm going to say there's three ghosts there: Sam, the trombone player, the Lavender Lady herself, who killed herself in uh, distraught over her husband leaving her for a showgirl, and then the poor woman that was murdered in the ladies' room on the fifth floor. So there you have it. Your three major ghosts of the Winter Garden Theater in Toronto, Ontario. All right. Hello, Kelly. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Bill C., thank you for coming in. Awesome, guys. 19 people. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. All right, that was number 2, right? So we had the Haunted Bridge, Old Finch. We had the Elgin Winter Garden Theater. Now we're going to go on to the legislative building outside of Queen's Park in Toronto. It is the legislative building of the province of Ontario. So this is where the elected officials of Ontario go to make laws, conduct business, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it is said to be very haunted. Now, let me show you what this looks like. Like I said, again, these are very, very beautiful places. The architecture of these places are very beautiful, in my opinion, at least. So it kind of adds to the lore of the story, I think. So here we go. Let's show you what it looks like. Here we go. This is what the legislative building looks like. All stone, kind of looks like a fortress. It's a very interesting architecture, if you ask me. And right in front of it is a park, Queen's Park, which is really in the center of Ontario. So quite a cool layout in this area. And these people, this building, which has a lot of activity because it's a government building. Hello, Emmanuel. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Osada's here. I missed him coming in. Hello, Osada. Thank you for coming in. So there's two. Again, we're dealing with multiple spirits. We're thinking with two main spirits here in the legislative building. Now, the first one is nicknamed the spirit of the enraged soldier. Now, he's called an enraged soldier because he looks when he manifests, he looks very angry and very determined. So they call him the enraged soldier. And he manifests in full soldier uniform, and it's a red uniform, World War I uniform. And that leads people to believe that he is actually this spirit is the spirit of an individual by the name of Charles Rutherford. Now, Charles Rutherford is the most decorated Canadian war hero in the history of Canada. And he fought in World War I, and he was awarded the Victoria Cross, which is the highest honor that a soldier could receive in battle. And it is said that he had single-handedly captured a whole platoon of Germans in France. So it was quite a story behind this guy. He was quite a hero. Hello, Lacey Silver. Hello, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. 24 people. Thank you. 24 people in the chat is awesome. Thank you. So Charles Rutherford, let me show you what he looks like. Since we know who he is, right? We know who he is. So let's take a look at him. All right. Where'd he go? Where did he go? All Here we go. This is what Captain Rutherford, Charles Rutherford, looks like, or looked like, I should say. He has passed on, obviously, and you would know that from the time period of which we're talking about. He fought in World War One, and he was also the sergeant of arms for the legislature there from 1934 to 1940. Now, the place where his spirit manifests is right where the sergeant of arms would be in the legislative chamber, and it said that he would advocate vehemently for veterans, the the rights of veterans from World War One who were kind of forgotten about, and maybe that's why he's enraged when he manifests. He's going back to the time where he would bang his fists and fight verbally for the rights of his fellow veterans that came home maimed and weren't cared for. So he was quite a character. I mean, he was the hero of Canada and got elected and became the sergeant at arms for the legislative body there. So they see him, but they see him in his full red uniform, like a full red uniform at times, and it's usually in the chamber itself at the sergeant of arms table. So pretty cool ghost, I would think. He's an actual historical figure. So let's get rid of that. And the other ghost. Now, who's the other ghost? Now, the other ghost is a lot more creepier because prior to this building, this legislative building being built, there was an asylum on this place, an insane asylum. And a few people, you know, and back in that time period, those insane asylums were not the best place to be. They were quite sometimes torture chambers, and many would people would take their own lives there. And there is one person that a woman that is often seen in the tunnel underneath here. There's a tunnel that leads from the one building to the next, and her spirit manifests hanging from a hook in the cellar tunnel between the buildings, and she's described as having ragged clothing and a ghastly color of her skin, a grayish ghastly color of her skin, and it's a horrifying sight to see uh, as um, as the lunatic asylum was torn down in the 1886, but she is still there. This horrible manifestation of a woman, tortured spirit who, in life, a tortured spirit who took her own life and is still there dangling from time to time. So the hanging woman. So you have the legislative body, the body, the you have the enraged spirit of Charles Rutherford, and then you have this unnamed, anonymous hanging woman from the asylum who you will see in the legislative building. So creepy, creepy, creepy stuff. All right. So that was number three. So we had the Old Finch Bridge. We had the Lavender Lady of Elgrin and Winter Garden Theater. And then we had the Queen's Park Legislative Building and its two ghosts. So there you go. There's your four. There's your third one. So let's go on to our next one. Our next one is around University College. Now let's go back to this. Let's go back to show you what University College looks like. Now remember what I said. These are very beautiful architecture. And University College is no different, no exception. Here's the main building. As you can see, it's quite beautiful. All stone, looks like a castle. Ivy growing on it, as it should be in a college or a university. So quite a beautiful place to go to school and learn. Now, the main ghost here, and there's multiple ghosts here too, but I only focused in on the one because there's a big story behind it, a long story behind it. So let's get into that. So this is the story of Ivan Retzinkov, Ritz, Ritznikov, Ivan Ritznikov, and Paul Diabolos. Now, these two individuals were stonemasons in the 1850s when they were first building these buildings here. And they worked on that particular building that I just showed you. And although they were both stonemasons, they were very different. Ritznikov was more of a big brute of a man, a brutal type of man who um, would do all the heavy work and chiseling and moving of the heavy stone, etc. Whereas Paul Diablos was more of a artist, more of a sculptor. It is said that Paul designed and carved the gargoyles that they have on this building. So he's more of your traditional artist. Well, Ivan and Paul worked together and didn't like each other very much. Ivan, like I said, they were very different types of people. Paul was very skinny, whereas Ivan was bulky and big, and Paul was more attractive, whereas Ivan himself was kind of ugly. There's no other way to call it. He was con, he was considered to be the model for the gargoyles on this particular building. So that could says something about his looks. He wasn't the most attractive guy around. However, nonetheless, Paul and Ivan were both in love with the same woman. Now, Ivan had made arrangements with this woman to marry her. So they were engaged and they were saving their money for marriage when this woman met Paul and fell in love with him. And what Paul did was convince her to run off with him in the middle of the night. Stiggs with a gifted membership. Thank you, my friend. That's awesome. Thank you so much for supporting me. That's great. Diablos. Paul Diablos. Not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. He steals this other guy's woman. And not only does he steal his woman, what he does is he takes the money. He takes the money that the two were saving. So he's taking not only Ivan's love of his life, but he's also taking his dough, his money. So not a good situation. Well, things get to a head when Ivan finds out about this. And while on the job site, he corners Paul up on the roof of the building. And in his hands, he has an axe that he was famous for using in his day to day work. And he corners Paul and he goes after him. He's going to end this once and for all. Now, Paul backs up into the corner to the doorway. There's a doorway there on the roof that leads to a stairwell that goes back down into the building dwelling. Well, as he backs up away from Ivan, he hits into the door. Now, the door was unlocked. Not only was it unlocked, it was unhinged. So just as Ivan is about to lay down his axe into the head or body of Paul, Paul falls back, and the door gives way, and he slips under, like basically slips back under, and the axe hits the door. And people say to this day that the axe mark is still in that door on the roof of the building. Well, as this happens, Paul is able to roll away and get to the stairwell and take off. So he takes off, and Ivan gives chase, still with axe in hand. And they make their way down, and then Paul makes his way back up another floor. He gets to the bottom, makes his way up to another floor, and goes to hide. Well, Ivan is hot on his heels, and he comes after him. And just as he gets to the floor where Paul was hiding, Paul jumps out of the shadows and stabs him in the heart with a dagger that he had found or had carried, I guess. And with that, Ivan dies right there in front of him. And what Paul does is he takes Ivan's body and dumps it over the side. Remember, this was still being constructed. dumps it over the side of to a pit where there was an open area, and that very night he goes and covers it up and buries the poor guy there. And in fact, no one ever finds out that Ivan's body is there until 1890, when there was a fire that required some destruction. Had there was a fire in the structure, and they had to dig out a certain area, and they found the bones of Ivan in there. So, quite a horrible story of love and hate and murder. And as a result of that, no one really knows what happened to Paul Diablos and Ivan's fiance, because they absconded right after this event. They vanished. They disappeared. They ran off with the money they had obtained. So people over the years since that time, since the 1890s when the bones were discovered and planted in a grave, it, people have seen the ghost and spirit of Ivan Ritsnikov wandering the grounds of the university college, axe in hand, late at night, wandering, looking in search of Paul Diablos and looking for revenge, but never finding him. And it says that this happens routinely. The spirit will manifest and walk the grounds at night, and people will call the police and say there's a man with an axe. And when the police get there, there's no one there. So it's quite a horrible story and tale that makes for a great ghost's tale, because death and love always ends up with a ghost, right? Terrible. But that's the story of University College and its main spirit, which is the ghost of Ivan Retsnikov, the stonemason who was murdered in a love triangle. All right, so that's your fourth story of the evening. Now, Magooch, good to see you, Magooch. Gooch in the house. All right, the last story is about a place called Casa Loma. Now, you would think that I'm going to show you a castle and tell you about a castle. And you're going to think, well, this must be in Europe. Nope, this is in Canada. This is a castle that was built in Canada. And wait till you see it. It is quite a beautiful sight. All right. Here we go. This is Casa Loma, the castle of Ontario, of Toronto, Ontario. All right, here's a sky view of it. Quite beautiful. And this is overlooks Toronto. You can see the city in the background. This is where Toronto is in the background. But this is an actual castle that was built by Sir Henry Pellet, an English lord, Sir Henry Pellat, Pellat, and his wife Mary. They built this in the early 1900s, and late 1800s, like 1890s, something like that, because he loved this. And he loved that his family was royalty back in England and wanted to create a little bit of it here, right here. Krumel been there in 1980. Awesome. You were there. That's awesome. And I'm sure it's as beautiful as it looks in there, right? Now, here's another view of it. I want to show you another view. It's worth showing you a different view of this because it's such a cool place. Here it is, front view in spring with this is the back view. This is the backyard where there's the garden and the fountain. It's pretty darn cool. Look at that. I'd love to visit this place. And my Buffalo friends should visit this. This is so close to them. Yes, Henry did well. However, he didn't do that well because he ends up losing the castle because he can't maintain it. He doesn't have enough money to maintain it and actually loses it and gets evicted or, gets taken over by the government because he can't pay the taxes on it or what have you. So not a happy ending for the Pallats, the Sir Henry Pallat. But anyway, so who's the ghost here? Well, the ghost is Henry. Sir Henry Pallat and his wife Mary are the ghosts of this castle. Now, let me see if I can show you. I found a picture of Sir Henry, which I will put up here in 1 second. Here we go. There's old Henry. He looks like an English guy from the early 1900s, late 1800s. Loved his castle and loved his horses too, and had a stable there and had a tunnel built from the castle to the stable where his prize horses would be. And he would travel, under not leaving the ground, like going on into and pop up in the stable, go back into the castle, pop up in the stable. And he said that he loved this castle so much that he would never leave it. So what happens with these, with his spirit? How do we see him? Um, well, let's see. Well, he and him and his wife are two spirits that you'll see there, and because they and like I said, they end up losing it after 9 years. They lived there for 9 years. They end up losing it because they can't afford to pay for it. But they come back all the time because they loved it so much. So their spirits are there all the time. And you'll see them wandering about the stairwell. You'll see them wandering in the main hall, the various areas. You'll see an individual like this, and you'll see his wife, and they're dressed in Victorian era type of clothing. And a lot of times people will think that they're part of reenactments because, again, this is owned by the state. The state took it over, made it a museum. So you can go and visit it. It's a beautiful place. And a lot of people will see them there and think that they're actors, but they're not. They're the spirits that manifest and vanish. There's a story about a boy when the second floor was being renovated, there was a story about a boy seeing a man up there in the window, and the caretakers or the workers there got a little concerned. How did somebody get up there? The second floor wasn't ready. The second floor was not allowed. No one should be up there. It was too dangerous. It was being renovated. And they went up there and there was no one there. So they went back to the boy and said, "What's going on here? Who did you see?" They showed him a picture of this gentleman, and he said, "That's the guy I saw up there." So he manifests on the second floor. He manifests in the main hall. He manifests all over the place. He loved this place. So he's going to take a lot of time hanging around here. All right. Let's see. So let's get rid of him. There we go. So those are the main ghosts, Sir Henry and his wife. Now, like I mentioned, the tunnel. Now, in the tunnel there is another ghost. There's a ghost of who they believe they call Mr. Happy, and they do this sarcastically because he's a miserable guy, miserable person, miserable spirit. So miserable that when you walk the tunnel, if you walk the tunnel, many women get their hair pulled out of nowhere because it's the ghost, Mr. Happy, pulling their hair. He doesn't like visitors, doesn't like people coming around. And it said that he was a friend of Sir Henry's who was charged with caring for his prize horse. So he would take the tunnel quite often, and this is where he ended up. He's also a mimic. He'll mimic you and ridicule you. So the ghost, if people are talking, they might hear a voice ridiculing them, like me, like making it fun of them. This ghost makes fun of people. He's such a miserable, this guy, that he makes fun of visitors coming through there. But that's it. I mean, the pulling of the hair, mimicking them, that type of stuff. Nothing really dangerous or scary about him per se. And then finally, there's also a third ghost who is a woman dressed in white. It's not Mary Pelot. And it is believed that this is the ghost of a maid who died in the building in 1917 from the flu, in that massive flu epidemic that killed so many. It killed actually 60,000 in Toronto when it hit. And she was one of them. And it is said that she is manifests there often, and you see her. You might see her making the beds, or you might see her dusting. Her spirit manifesting over and over again. So, so there you have it. Those are the ghosts of Castle Casa Loma, a beautiful place that you should definitely visit, and I would love to do it myself if I ever get up there. So, Mr. Happy, Sir Henry Pallet and his wife, and the mystery maid who died in the flu epidemic. Those are the ghosts of this castle. So there you have your 5 stories from Toronto, Canada. We had Old Finch Bridge, where you can go and sing and summon the ghost of the woman murdered there. We have the Lavender Lady and Sam, who hang out at the Elgrin and Winter Garden Theater. We have the Legislative Building outside Queen's Park, where we have the ghost of Charles Rutherford, the most decorated soldier in Canadian history, and the hanging woman in the basement there. We have the University College, where we have this horrible tale of murder and betrayal between Reznikov and Diablos, where Reznikov is still there looking for revenge. And then you have Castle Casa Loma, where you have Sir Henry, his wife, his Mizadab caretaker friend, take care of his horses, and the maid that died. So there you have your 5 stories and multiple ghosts from Toronto, Canada. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I think Toronto, in my assessment, is probably one of the more haunted cities because it was so easy to find these, and there were plenty of tales that I just, you know, passed over, because I just wanted to make it limited to what we had here. So quite a cool thing, quite a cool city to, I think, if you're into that, quite a cool city to visit. And there's haunted tours, ghost tours all over the city that you can take, and they'll show you around. So pretty cool. All right. Now, let me see here. It's time for. Now, let me put this up. If Osada wants to come up, he can come up. I think Todd Father has an event this evening, so he's not around. But if Osada's still hanging out and he wants to come up, the link is in the chat. Where's Squidman James? I haven't seen James. This is out of his time period, his time zone. He never comes around, James. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Great. Yourself?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Have you ever been to Toronto, Canada?
Never been to Canada.
No.
No.
I mean, you're close.
I went to school in Belgium.
You're on the other side, though. But you're close to Canada, aren't you?
Yeah, and the short amount of time I went to college, I went to Western Washington University, which is in Bellingham, which is, I think, like 60 miles from Canada. But there was no reason to go. You could drink when you were 19, but I was 18 when I was up there.
Okay. Right. So, nothing motivating you. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So let's see what I got here. I have 3 videos. Nothing really impressive, but we'll go through them and we'll see what we got here. All right, this is it's a video, but it's really a picture. All right, now this is from Louisiana, a cemetery in not Louisiana, Mississippi. All right, hold on here. Let's see what we got here. All right. Now, look in the dead center of this picture. All right, you see
Yeah,
the
I see.
fence. You see what I'm talking about, right in the middle.
Yeah.
That is said to be a spirit of some type of woman that is wearing a white gown or robe, something like that, with long black hair. Now,
Um,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I definitely see the thing. I just can't
Mhm.
make out anything really. Okay, no, I do see it. I do see the long black hair woman now.
Yeah,
I see how I do see what they see there. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It's a cemetery. Grateful. Yeah, it's definitely a cemetery. As you could see you could see the tombstones in the background there, and it's in Mississippi. As you could see the trees that those willow trees there, but it just looks weird to me. It doesn't look. I don't know. It doesn't look genuine to me. Like it doesn't. It doesn't look like it fits there. It looks like it was put there. Like if there was a spirit that was human size, I don't think it would be
Yeah,
like look like that, right?
yeah, true. I
It
mean,
looks
I don't
bigger,
know.
right? It looks bigger than a normal woman would be to me. It looks like it's much taller than a normal woman. If the fence, say that fence is what, 4 foot high, maybe 4 foot high. She's a giantess. if that's, you know,
Yeah,
she'd be like eight
y-
feet tall.
yeah. Just, I mean, the bottom part by the fence is kind of believable. It's a little see through, but the higher up you go, it just gets weirder looking. It just, I don't
Hmm.
know. It doesn't look right.
Yeah, yeah. And some of that
But
stuff to her, see, there's some of this stuff to her or our right or her left. It looks like, you see, it's gray colored. It looks like it matches her. In other words, it was taken from a different picture where she was in and put here. You know what I mean? So that,
yeah,
like below the green, there's the green trees, right? And then there's that gray, whatever that is, that looks like it aligns with her and not the rest of the background.
yeah. No, I agree. It almost
Yeah.
looks like the right part of the is like a painting almost, like that.
Hmm.
The green. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird.
Yeah. So I think this is just doctored. I think it's made up for clicks. All right, let's get rid of this.
Grateful says there was a big face to the right of her.
Oh, to the right of her? Hmm. I think, well, isn't that what we were talking about? That gray stuff, maybe? I mean, is that what she means? That gray stuff?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me go back there again. Hold on. Let me just make sure I know what I'm talking about here. So she said a face. Hold on. Face to the right of her. I think, yeah, yeah, that like to the right of, no, to the right of her. I don't see anything to the right of her. I mean, if we're looking at it, yes, our right to the right. Yes, that's that stuff I was talking about, that gray stuff. And if
Yeah,
you look at it, it could be a face, I guess. I know what you're saying, Grateful. I think, but my point was that I think that is all part of her. Like it all came from a picture with her in it. Wherever she came from, that was part of that picture. It was taken and put into this background. Beetlejuice looks like Beetlejuice. Yeah, I guess so. You're right. It could look like Beetlejuice. Yeah, yeah. All right.
I wonder why that picture was even taken in the first place. You know,
Yeah,
like what was
who's
the?
right? Who's taking a picture of a cemetery at night like that? For what reason?
Yeah,
With
you
a
got.
come on.
You're gonna. You get what you ask. How do they say that? You know, you get what you ask for, type of thing. If you're taking
Yeah.
pictures in a cemetery, you know.
Hmm. Right. All right. Let's see now. This one. All right. I'm going to show you this one. It's kind of funny, but all right. Here we go.
Stony, if that's true, that's awesome. You're my type of guy. He said he's drinking fresh guy out of Twizzler.
Okay. All right. Here we go. This I call this like the Ghost of Superman.
What the heck?
Now watch. It'll come back down. It'll come back around again. There we go. Now watch. It's gonna come from the left. Look. And then it comes back around in the background there. It's like circling around. To me, it looks like, a guy like Superman flying. The arms out.
Well, and that's a hammock that it just hit?
Yes, this is a hammock. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not some type of pet, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Here, let's see. So it's coming and it goes through the hammock, right? Let's see. It goes through the hammock. I don't know. Like maybe to your point, maybe it's like a dog like jumped on the hammock and then ran by and it's all blurred. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's just strange.
What are those? Yeah, what are the two extended leg looking things? I mean, like you said, that's the Superman arms.
I thought they were like the arms. Yeah, I thought that's supposed to be like the arms out like this, flying by. I don't know.
I wish we could talk to the people whose camera it is. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
in just one little quick conversation, you'd be able to tell if they were like, because if they legit were like, we don't know what that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to I don't know, just trying to figure out what it could possibly be. If this is a genuine photo where they just found this, video they just found on their surveillance camera, what could it possibly be? I mean, it could be a bug, right? Because it looks like it's raining, right? With all of these things on the camera, all this obstruction on the camera. It could be like a bug that went by. And I think the hammock is just a coincidence. Like, I think the hammock is just getting blown around by the wind. I don't think this thing is moving the hammock because it's going through the hammock like this. I don't know. I think it's just being blown around. And then this could be like a moth or something. And it just close.
Yeah, because the screen, it's weird. It looks like it's blurred everywhere.
Yeah.
That very centerpiece.
And then you could see it in the back. Like you could see it. Oh, you can't see it from here. Let me go back to the beginning. You'll see it like loop around and come around the back.
Right.
So that could
maybe think of it as a dog or something, a pet.
Here it comes back around, and it's obscured by all the precipitation on the camera lens. Yeah. So whatever was running by here, if it's either a moth or if it is a pet, like an animal, it circled the yard like a dog might do, like here and then come running right back around. So I don't know. I don't think it's a ghost though. I don't think it's, I wouldn't believe that to be a ghost.
It almost makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know if it was going reverse. That picture right there could be the hind legs instead of the Superman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that could be a tail where that like head could be like a tail there. So let's see if it was reversing, because it could very possibly, they could have reversed it. Let's say if it was coming this way, right? And it ran into the hammock. Yeah,
That kind of makes sense
look
like
at that.
that.
The hammock is pushed this way, right? So it looks
Yeah.
like it would be pushing the hammock this way. Yeah. Yeah. That was a good catch. So that's what it might be.
Giant mosquito, Grateful says. Good.
Yeah, it could be. It could be that too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like one of those. You ever see those mosquitoes that have like the whatever those things hanging down on them? Those like back legs that hang down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I seen a beetle one time on a leaf. It sent me running into the house. It scared the hell out of me. And I looked it up. It was like some type of, can't remember what, it was huge.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't even think they could exist in Washington State or even in the United States.
Wow.
This was, I don't know, like 15 years ago. I can't remember. It was like some type of South American beetle.
Huh. All right. Here's my last one. All right. Let's see here. Now, the background to this, I'm going to stop this for a second. Now, look in the street. Like, this is a front yard, or like a camera in the front yard. And you can see the trailer across the street, and then you see like a barn or a shed there. The background to this is that this is an old farm that was at one point it was a horse farm, and the people that are living there now supposedly say they hear the spirits of ghosts, like of horses, like they hear like a phantom, like whinnying of a horse and such. And then the camera picks this up, and they think it's the spirit of a horse, like running around in the yard as if it was, it was still there. Now you can see, like right in the middle there, and it doesn't look like it's not the shape of a horse, but they say that they hear, when they see this, they hear the whinnying of a horse.
Yeah, the front of it. I mean, it does kind of look like the head of a horse, kind of, and the movement does kind of look like what a horse would do, kind of walking back and forth like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've been watching these videos that just popped up on my feed lately. It's horses that are just like sleeping, snoring with their and they're like their caretakers are out there sleeping with them and petting them and stuff, and it's just they're really human-like.
Yeah.
When they sleep, I mean, they get down and they rest their head on the lap of the owner, and they're just really affectionate. So I could imagine that the people that are saying that, they could probably feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just see it. People are really attached to their horses. I know a couple of horse owners.
Yep. So that's it. That's all I had this week. Just those three. Nothing really earth shattering.
Right on.
So what do you have going on this weekend?
Just going back out tomorrow to the country market. I just got done being out all day today. I finally did good for a change today, which was nice.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just got done making some shortcakes and got to go to the store here pretty soon and back at it tomorrow. The Seahawks play on Sunday, so I'm hoping to capitalize on a little Seahawk mania.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting for a storm here, so everyone was doing a run on the grocery stores last I saw. So the storm is going to start tomorrow night and go through Monday, and we're supposed to get like 12 to 14 inches of snow. So,
wow. Yeah, I seen one video where people were arguing. Some dude cut some lady off in the grocery store in line, and everybody's made him get out of line and go to the back or something. It's crazy.
I mean, and it always makes me laugh because what do you think is going to happen? I mean, like we're prepared for snow around here. We have plows all the time. Like, how long do you think you're going to be stuck in your house? You're not going to be stuck in your house. You're going to be. It'll be like a day. That's it. Maybe you'll be a day. It would be more difficult to travel, but then you're going to be fine. You can go to the store on Monday, late Monday. You can go to the store. You know what I mean? It's just silly the way people act. They're running around like it's the end of the world.
Yeah, and you would think like if it's really that big of a deal to you, that like take advantage of the summer sales for the stuff that you would need. You know what I mean? Like the generators are cheaper in the summer, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I got everything I need if the power. I got 2 different types of propane heaters, and I'm poor, so I wouldn't need to run to the. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't.
Sure.
People are just dumb. I guess
Yeah.
they panic. They're going to get toilet paper or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Right.
As long as I have weed and candles, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, they got to run out and get the big thing is bread and milk. That's the big thing they get around here. Bread, milk, and eggs. That's the big thing. They all run out and get bread, milk, and eggs. It's gonna snow. We gotta get our bread, milk, and eggs. And okay, whatever. But
I did hear that there was like one section of the country, I don't know where, but they could get up to like 3 inches of ice.
Oh, really?
That's not going to be good. I don't know if that's still true, and I heard that like maybe a week ago. But
I've never heard of that much. 3 inches of ice? I've never heard that much ever. That's wacky. 3 inches. Jeez.
Yeah, they said it's like loss of life if there's that much. I think that was down by like the Carolinas or something. I don't know. I'll have to look on that. Which I don't think anybody really knows till it happens. When are you supposed to get your snow?
It's supposed to start tomorrow at about 8:00 at night, and then snow through Sunday, and then end on Monday morning.
Okay.
So,
well, stay safe. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We will. We will. We're not going anywhere. We're staying right here. Got my snowblower ready, and I'm ready to go.
Right on.
But
all right. Well,
all right. Well, thanks for coming up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you guys later. Chat. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. This was a short one. And hope you enjoyed our little trip to Toronto. And stay warm. If you're in the Northeast, stay warm, stay safe. And we will see you next time. Until then, on behalf of Lenny, Victor, and Edgar, we say build the guild and stay scared because it's always fun. We'll see you next time. God bless you all. And thank you for being here.